Good morning. I wanted to get out here before I get out and uh, running on today. And happy Friday to you. We're going to talk about when you have an opportunity and when you make that decision that it's time for you to leave a Christian narcissist. I'm going to tell you something. Don't look back. Because if you go back, it seems like it gets worse. And I tried it a couple of times. We were separated, and they give a bunch of empty promises that they're going to change, and they know that stuff is wrong with them, and I'm going to get better. I'm going to do it better. I'm going to treat you better. And that's really just to get you back so they can continue the abuse. And so we tried that a couple of times, and it didn't get better. Actually, things um, got worse. And it seems like it was even turned up to another level as far as the abuse, and uh, made to feel unlovable. You're not deserving of my love. Um, just feeling the feeling of being abandoned. He was there, but he wasn't really there. He had really already checked out because what do I mean by that? His heart was already across town somewhere. I mean, his heart was actually in pieces because every person that he was being unfaithful to me with had a part of his heart, and he was sowing seeds there. And so soul ties here, soul ties there, soul ties here, soul ties here, and then coming back to me, bringing all that back, defiling our bed. I sit here today grateful that I didn't have, my body wasn't racked with some type of a disease because of all of that. So I do thank the Lord for his protection in that season for me. But back to the thing. When you leave a narcissist, and it can be very difficult, and I think because of the emotional and the mind games that they play with you and they play with your heart. Because you think this person loves you, but on the real note, they really don't. Because remember I said they don't know how to love themselves, so they don't really know how to love you. And so, and there is a difference between love and being in love. And so with a narcissist, yeah, they may have feelings for you because of history. So it's fair for them to say, I love you, but are you really in love with me? And when it gets to the place that your partner has no remorse or no guilt as far as going and being unfaithful to you with multiple people, that's a problem. There's no love there. There's no love there at all. It's just at the place that in the beginning, remember when I talked about love bombing? And love bombing is, I meant they're pointed on hard. They're there at your every beckoning call. They're buying you what you want. You're not in lack. You're traveling. He's whining, dining you. I meant loving on you like God ordained it for you to be loved on. Telling you all these sweet nothings, what they want to do for you, what they're gonna do for you, how your life is gonna be, and remember I said back in early on mine, in deception, I allowed him to impregnate me. So just because of green behind the ears, and because at this point he had my heart and he had my mind. So I'm like, I just trusted him. So I didn't think when he said a thing, I didn't think I had a reason at that time to distrust him. But I did. And so I thank the Lord for my beautiful baby girl that I have. But back then, when he did that, it was kind of a way of trapping me in to the marriage to be connected with him. He saw that I was a good target, good job, came from a good family, good Christian girl, hadn't really experienced the world. She's the one. And so he set out for that. And like I said, back in the day, when we got pregnant, wrong or right, a lot of us, we got married. And so he knew, because I feared God, that's probably what would happen. And that is what happened. So we got married, and my roller coaster ride begun. And like I mentioned earlier in some of my other things, I never even had a fair chance at my marriage, or even being a good wife, because out of the gate I was competing against so many spirits that was on him, which was lust, porno, his mother, fantasies that came from the things that he was opening up his eye portals and gates to see. So I just never really had a chance. I was competing against all this stuff and didn't even realize that I was competing. And so, but it was just all something sent from the pit to try and destroy me. But back to, when you have the opportunity to leave them, make sure you close all the doors, because if you don't, they're going to try and sneak in those back doors and try and get you your feathers ruffled, because they're not going to say anything nice to you. Actually, they're going to continue to throw darts at you to make you feel it was your fault. We would still be together if it wasn't you. It's you. It's you. It's you. And all that's going to do is just hurt you even more, because in our minds, it's kind of like, well, no, they're not a bad person. I'm going to try and connect back with them just to let them know that I forgive them. You know, maybe it didn't work. In most cases, they're not even ready for that. So in your mindset, you're trying to forgive them and you're trying to move on, but they're not there yet. So if you allow those doors to be open, they're going to walk through that to kind of feel where you are, to see if they still got your heart. And if they can get your feathers ruffled, and they can get you arguing with them and saying hateful things, then they're like, I still got her. Or I still got him. Shut all the doors. No contact. Because it saves yourself a lot of heartache, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, a lot of daggers being thrown at you still, because you're abused enough. So why do you keep the doors open to continue to allow that person to abuse you? Because their talk isn't going to change. Their actions isn't going to change. If God hasn't done a new thing in their life for real. And remember, like I said, they don't think that there's anything wrong. So they're not in a hurry to run to God and have a God experience. For real, think about it. So once that door has been shut, shut. Shut it. Keep it shut. I'm telling you from experience, it's best to just close all the doors. Because if not, they're gonna walk boldly through those, and they're gonna continue to throw more daggers at you. It's gonna hurt you to your core, because you're gonna think about all the abuse and the pain that they took you through while they were in relationship with you. And now when you're calling to try and get on come to a medium or come to an understanding, they're not there. Their mindset and their thinking is way off somewhere. They just think, remember I told you that they're the victim. So you wronged me. You should have never left me. And who do you think you were to leave me? Because I'm your God. You know, you're my property. And you call yourself leaving me. So because of that mindset on them, they're hateful. They're even more hateful. And they're just going to throw daggers at you to try and continue to hurt you to your core. So close all the doors. If you got to change your cell number, change it. Change it. Do what you got to do to close out that chapter. And then all you can do is pray for that partner. That God will for real do a new thing in their hearts, and that they'll be saved before it's too late. And just make sure you're not holding any unforgiveness in your heart. So even though they're not at that place, you go ahead and allow God to heal you and to get you at that place. Because forgiveness is not for them. Forgiveness is for you. So you can move on with your life. So the message for today is, once you leave a narcissist, shut all the doors. If you have to change your cell number, if you have to change your email, if you have to change any form of contact that they were able to get a hold of you at, change it. And don't feel bad about it. It's going to save you a whole lot of peace. It's going to keep you sane. It's going to prevent you from daggers being thrown at you and blame, still being blamed, because they'll blame you until Jesus come back, if you let them. So if you open up those doors, they're going to walk right in there, and they're going to begin to continue the blame game on you. Because, see, they never do anything wrong. So don't allow them to come in after you've gotten out of a relationship with them. Because they're going to make, I'm going to change, and we can get back together. If God haven't done a new thing in them, those are lies. And so when they get you back, that allows them to abuse you more. Because they're going to be like, oh, she don't even respect herself. Because she don't even see the game that I was playing on her. And she's come back for more. So I'm not going to get better. I'm just going to make her think, you lucky that I took you back. You lucky that I want you back. You lucky that, I want to even give you my love. This is the way they'll make you feel. And so every time you go back, they don't change. They don't get better. They actually get worse. And they treat you worse because they see she don't even respect herself. If she respected herself, she never would even came back to me. But because I got her like that, and because I got her head like that, because I got her heart like that, she ain't going nowhere. Because I own that. That's my property. Okay? That's my property, and that's the way they feel. You're my property. You ain't going nowhere. And even if you do go anywhere, you still want me. So their thinking is totally off. So do yourself a favor. Shut all the doors. Shut all the doors so you can move forward, so God can begin the healing process on you. Because if you allow God to start the healing process on you, but you got any crack open, any back door open, and especially if you have kids involved, sometimes that can be difficult because, trying to have a decent relationship because of the child that's involved. And sometimes you need to shut all that down. You need to shut all that down because when there's a child involved, if that husband is not where he needs to be spiritually, he's really just hurting the child because he's bringing all that dysfunction and all that toxic stuff, all those spirits are being transposed to his child. So the child is watching the father being unfaithful. The child is watching the father lying. The child is watching the father lust after women, and possibly the child is watching the father watch porno. So in that case, how's the child really benefiting from that parent being in their life right now? So it's really best when you close the door. If you have a child, I know many of us want our children to have relationships with that parent. But if that parent is got some problems and walking around with all these spirits and stuff on them, that's just going to hurt your child. You're allowing that child to be exposed to all these spirits to be imparted into. So parents, let's get wise even when it comes to our children. Don't think, well, I want that relationship with that father or with that mom. But if that father or that mom is full of demons, then you allow your child to be exposed to all that and for that to be imparted unto them. And now another generational curse is beginning. So it's time for us to even be wise as parents and to break that. Nothing personal. Yes, that is your mom or that is your dad. But right now, they're sick. And until God does some things in them, it's not best for you to be around them right now. Because they're not going to be imparting godly things into that child or the right things into that child. They're going to be imparting the opposite. So whatever their lifestyle is and whatever their talk is, those children are picking that up and they're watching them. So let's be wise parents and not think, well, we got kids together, because Christian narcissists will use their children as a pawn. What do I mean by that? they don't really love them like they don't love their mom or their dad. But they'll use them. So those children will be in between, thinking that this parent loves them, when the parent's heart, that the Christian narcissist's heart, is all in different pieces here and there. Loving on this one, loving on that one, loving on this one, loving on that one, with children and family involved. If this makes any sense. And so your children sit there innocently. All they're wanting is the real love of their parent. But because that parent is not right in the mind and needing deliverance and needing a real relationship with God, they're really bringing nothing but demonic, toxic things to their children. They're exposing them to generational curses. And so now that child is watching that parent and they think, well, it's okay. Well, they did it. So now when I grow up, then, but the devil is a lie. And we as parents, God's going to hold us accountable for that. So let's not get so caught up in the moment and, oh, well, it didn't work with us, but, you know, he needs to have a relationship, or she needs to have a relationship with their children. You need to know what spirits are on that parent. And if it's unhealthy for your child, yes, that's that child's mother or father, but it's like in the long run, it's going to hurt that child. So it's okay to pull that child back for a season to that parent, that Christian narcissist, get themselves together. Because right now, even though that you've closed the door on that Christian narcissist, if there's children involved, then you leave them open for daggers to be thrown. I hope this is making sense. For that parent to hurt them. Because their heart is not really with them. Their heart is in several different pieces. Over here, over there, over here, over there. But to say that their father, that they have their parent's whole heart, that child doesn't. And so the abuse that the Christian narcissist wanted to give to the mate, now the kids get it. It's being trickled down to them. And they don't even see it because they're thinking, well, that's just my dad. And he loves me. But in reality, if he loves you, then he never would allow the enemy to come in and to destroy the entire family unit, while they walk around like they love the Lord and fear God. And so just some real talk. Just some things to think about. So when there's kids involved, be wise parents. Because those Christian narcissists, the one that has that parent that has that on them, they'll use those children as pawns. And they always want sides. So they're always trying to find a loophole for their children to take sides against the other parent. Because remember, a Christian narcissist is always the victim. So let's be wise. Shut all the doors. Front, side, back, garage door, emails, cell phones. And sometimes even your children, you have to pull them away. And it's nothing personal. But we need to recognize the enemy and see what they're trying to do. And enough hurt and abuse have already been done. So no one else needs to be hurt in this process. But we do need to pray for those individuals. That is all that I have on today. I hope that something was said that made some sense to you. When you're in relationship with a Christian narcissist, all of it is kind of like a Jekyll and a Hyde. It's kind of like it's two sides to the thing. So when you're trying to tell the story, sometimes it may be hard for people to understand it if they've never been through it. Or it doesn't make sense to them because they've never been through it. But when you've been through it, you understand. You understand this conversation. And so I will continue to pour out as far as my testimony and what I've been through. And it's just to help others. It's no throw off. It's not trying to make anybody look bad. But this is what I've been through, and this is what God brought me up out of. And I'm so grateful. And I want to make sure that God gets all the glory out of all that He's allowed me to go through. But He brought me out. And I'm glad about it. And so I don't want all this hurt and pain that God allowed me to go through to fall to the ground and for it not to be used for His glory. So this is why I get out here to share. But I hope that it's being a blessing to someone that's currently in that situation or currently ever gotten out of that situation. But know that you shall live and not die. This is not the end of your story. And even when you make a conscious decision to finally get out of that, know that your better days are ahead. The process may be rough and the ride may be rough, but I would recommend that you get a very supportive group behind you that will be praying over you and with you and for you during your process, and someone that they can hold you accountable. But you're going to come up out of this. You're going to be okay. And when you come up out of it, you're going to be so much stronger. It's going to give you an opportunity to learn more about God's people and how we need to love them unconditionally as we're praying for them. Even when we feel in our minds they don't deserve it because of all the abuse that they took us through and all the hurt and pain that they took us through as they were masked up as a God-fearing man or God-fearing woman. But God sees all that. Just make sure that you handle it properly. So I love each and every one of you. Stay blessed. Stay encouraged. Keep holding on God's unchanging hand. Know that God has you in this season. He's not going to put any more on us than we can bear. Sometimes we feel that way, especially when I came out of that situation. But God, if God is for you, He's more than the world against me. I know that God has me in this season because there's nobody but God that I'm able to sit here before you on this morning and to tell my story. So I love each and every one of you guys. Have an awesome, blessed weekend. And I'll talk to you later.